Captain Jake Morrison stood at the front window of his ship and watched the stars change. The Defiant had been traveling through space for 300 years, carrying 10,000 sleeping humans back to the galaxy their ancestors had left behind. Jake was the first captain to wake up and see their new home. The ship's computer made a soft beeping sound. They had arrived at their destination. Jake pressed a button on his chair and spoke into the microphone. "Wake up the senior crew. We're here." One by one, the other officers came to the bridge. Dr. Lisa Carter arrived first, rubbing her eyes and looking confused. She was the ship's expert on alien life forms, though she had never seen any real aliens before. Next came Commander Ryan Blake, Jake's second in command. Ryan always looked serious, even when he had just woken up from a 300-year sleep. "What do you see out there, Captain?" Ryan asked, walking over to the big window. Jake pointed at something in the distance. "Look at that planet. Do you see those things floating around it?" Lisa pressed her face against the glass. "Those aren't natural. Someone built those." The objects were huge metal structures, bigger than Earth's largest cities. They moved in perfect circles around a dead planet, their surfaces covered in lights that blinked in patterns. The structures looked old, but still worked perfectly. "Run a scan," Jake ordered. "I want to know everything about those things." The ship's sensors turned toward the mysterious structures. Information appeared on the screens around the bridge. The readings showed that the structures were incredibly advanced, using energy sources that Earth scientists had only dreamed about. "Captain, this is impossible," said Lieutenant Amy Parker, the ship's communications officer. "These structures are generating more power than our entire ship, but the energy readings don't match anything we know." Dr. Carter studied the data on her screen. "The materials are unknown, too. Whatever these things are made of, it's not from any planet we've studied." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. Humanity had left Earth believing they were alone in the universe. The long journey to this distant part of the galaxy was supposed to give them a fresh start on empty worlds. Instead, they had found evidence of an advanced civilization. "Take us closer," Jake commanded, "but keep our weapons ready." The Defiant moved slowly toward the nearest structure. As they got closer, everyone could see how massive it really was. The structure was shaped like a giant ring, wide enough to fit Earth's moon inside it. Strange symbols covered its surface, glowing with soft blue light. Suddenly, all the lights on the structure began flashing at once. And something amazing happened. New lights appeared in the air around the structure, forming shapes and patterns that looked almost like writing. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission," Amy said, her voice shaking with excitement. "It's coming from the structure." "Put it on the main screen." The front window changed into a giant computer screen. Symbols appeared one by one, but they meant nothing to the human crew. Then the ship's computer began working, trying to understand the alien language. "The computer is translating," Amy reported. "It's finding patterns in the symbols." Everyone watched as English words slowly appeared below the alien writing. The first complete sentence made everyone on the bridge gasp. "Welcome home, children of Terra." Dr. Carter stepped back from her station. "Terra is the old name for Earth. How do they know about Earth?" More words appeared on the screen. "The inheritors have returned, activating ancient protocols. Systems coming online, preparing welcome sequence." Commander Blake looked at Jake with worry in his eyes. "Captain, they were expecting us. Somehow, they knew we were coming." The structure in front of them began to change. Parts of its surface opened up, revealing docking bays that looked like they were built for human ships. Lights inside the bays blinked in a pattern that clearly meant, "Come inside." "This doesn't make sense," Lisa said. "How can aliens know about Earth? How can they speak our language? And why are they welcoming us home?" Jake studied the invitation on the screen. Every instinct told him this was dangerous. They had found something that shouldn't exist, something that knew things it couldn't possibly know. But they had come too far to turn back now. Amy, send a response. Tell them we accept their welcome. Amy's fingers moved over her controls. A few seconds later, more text appeared on the screen. Excellent. Please proceed to Docking Bay 7. Medical facilities are prepared. Historical archives are ready for review. The Council of Ancients is eager to meet their descendants. Dr. Carter grabbed Jake's arm. Did you see that? They called us descendants. Captain, I think these aren't aliens at all. The truth was starting to dawn on all of them. The structures weren't built by aliens. They were built by humans. But not just any humans. These were humans who had been here for a very long time, long enough to build incredible technology and wait for Earth's children to find them. Jake gave the order to dock with the structure. As the Defiant moved into the docking bay, they could see that everything was designed for humans. The airlocks were the right size, the gravity felt normal, and even the lights were the warm color that humans preferred. When the docking was complete, Jake selected a small team to explore the structure. He chose Ryan, Lisa, and Amy, plus 2 security guards named Tom Wilson and Kate Davis. They put on their spacesuits and walked through the airlock into the alien structure. But as soon as they stepped inside, they realized it wasn't alien at all. The hallways were built for humans. The air was breathable, and on the walls were pictures that made their hearts stop. The pictures showed humans, but not modern humans. These people wore strange clothes and had technology that looked incredibly advanced. In one picture, humans were building the very structure they were now standing inside. My God, Lisa whispered. Humans built this place. But when and how? They walked deeper into the structure, following glowing arrows on the floor. The arrows led them to a large room filled with computers and screens. In the center of the room was a chair that looked like it was waiting for someone to sit in it. As soon as Jake approached the chair, all the screens in the room came to life. A voice spoke from hidden speakers, and this time it was clearly speaking English. Welcome, Captain Morrison. We have been waiting for you for 50,000 years. Jake Morrison sat down in the strange chair, and immediately the room around him changed. The walls became transparent, showing space outside, but also showing something else. Images of Earth appeared, but not the Earth he knew. This Earth looked different, older, with cities that gleamed like stars and ships flying between them. Who are you? Jake asked the empty room. The voice answered from everywhere at once. We are the first Exodus. We are your ancestors who left Earth 50,000 years ago. We have been waiting for our children to find the stars again. Dr. Lisa Carter stepped forward, her scientific mind racing. 50,000 years? But that's impossible. Humans didn't have space travel 50,000 years ago. A new image appeared on the transparent walls. It showed early humans, but these humans had technology beyond anything modern Earth had ever built. They were constructing massive ships and leaving Earth in great numbers. Your history books are incomplete, the voice explained. Humanity reached the stars once before. We built an empire that spanned half the galaxy. But something forced us to leave it all behind. Commander Ryan Blake looked around the room nervously. What forced you to leave? What happened to your empire? The images changed, showing empty planets and abandoned cities. Something comes through the galaxy every few million years. It destroys all advanced life and starts everything over. We discovered this pattern and realized we had to prepare for the next cycle. Lieutenant Amy Parker was recording everything on her portable computer. So you built these structures, and waited for Earth's humans to develop space travel again? Yes. We scattered 17 installations across this region of space. Each one contains technology and knowledge that your people will need. We knew that eventually, Earth would send explorers to the stars again. Jake stood up from the chair and walked to the transparent wall. Why didn't you come back to Earth? Why did you leave us behind? The voice was quiet for a moment. We tried to save everyone. But Earth was hidden, protected by barriers we created. The destructive force could not find it, but neither could we return to it once we left. We had to trust that our home world would survive and grow strong again. Dr. Carter was studying the technical displays that appeared around the room. This technology is incredible. Your energy sources, your materials, everything is hundreds of years ahead of what we have. It is your inheritance, the voice said. Everything we learned, everything we built, it belongs to Earth's children. The knowledge is stored in these installations, waiting for you to claim it. The room's displays changed again, showing a map of nearby star systems. 16 other points were marked with the same symbol they had seen on this structure. There are more installations? Ryan asked. 17 in total. Each one specializes in different knowledge. This station focuses on first contact and basic technology transfer. Others contain advanced starship designs, medical knowledge, and weapons technology. Jake felt his heart race. Weapons? Why would we need weapons? The voice grew serious. Because the cycle is beginning again. Our sensors have detected the early signs. The force that destroys civilizations is stirring. You have perhaps 1,000 of your years before it arrives in this region of space. Amy looked up from her recording device. What exactly is this force? Is it aliens? Some kind of natural disaster? We never discovered its true nature. It appears as a wave of destruction that sweeps across the galaxy. Planets are left barren. All traces of advanced civilization disappear. Only primitive life survives to start evolution over again. Lisa was examining a panel that showed biological data. But you survived somehow. The voice talking to us, you're still here after 50,000 years. We evolved beyond physical form. Those of us who stayed behind to maintain the installations became beings of pure energy. We exist between dimensions now, watching and waiting for our descendants to return. Jake sat back down in the chair. Show us everything. Show us what? We need to know. The room exploded with information. Images, sounds, and data flowed around them like a river of knowledge. They saw the first Exodus building their empire, discovering other intelligent species, and learning about the galactic cycle of destruction. There were others, Ryan observed, watching images of alien civilizations. Other intelligent species. What happened to them? Some were destroyed by previous cycles. Others, like us, evolved beyond physical existence. A few managed to escape to other galaxies. The destruction is thorough, but not perfect. Dr. Carter was taking notes as fast as she could. How many cycles have there been? We have evidence of at least 50 cycles over the past billion years. Each time, the galaxy is reset to primitive conditions. Each time, new species evolve and reach for the stars, only to be destroyed when they become too advanced. Amy checked her equipment and found something disturbing. Captain, I'm detecting similar signals from the other star systems marked on that map. The other installations are activating too. Jake realized what this meant. They're all waking up because we're here. The entire network is coming online. Correct, the voice confirmed. Your arrival has triggered the full activation sequence. All 17 installations will share their knowledge with your people, but you must act quickly. The signs we have detected suggest the next cycle will begin sooner than we originally calculated. Lisa looked at the biological displays with growing alarm. What kind of signs? Space itself is beginning to change. Quantum fluctuations are increasing. Dark matter flows are shifting. These are the same patterns we observed 50,000 years ago, just before we were forced to flee. Ryan moved to another panel and studied what appeared to be star charts. How long do we actually have? Perhaps 500 years? Maybe less. It depends on how quickly the phenomenon spreads through this region of space. Jake stood up and faced his team. We need to get back to the ship. We need to contact Earth and the colony fleets. This changes everything. Before you go, the voice said, you must understand something important. The installations will only respond to humans from Earth's genetic line. The technology cannot be stolen or copied by others. It recognizes your DNA, your brain patterns, your very essence as children of Terra. Dr. Carter looked puzzled. How is that possible? We built quantum locks into every system. Only humans descended from Earth's population can access the installations. We learned from our contact with other species that technology shared too freely can be turned against its creators. Jake nodded grimly. Smart. So this technology stays in human hands. Yes, and there is something else you must know. The destructive. Force is not random. It is guided by intelligence. Something chooses which civilizations to destroy and which to spare. We believe it harvests advanced species for purposes we could not understand. The room fell silent as the humans absorbed this terrible knowledge. They had come to the stars seeking a new home, only to discover they were inheriting a war that had been fought for billions of years. We will prepare your people, Jake promised. We will be ready when it comes. We know you will, the voice replied. That is why we waited. Humans do not surrender easily. You are our hope for breaking the cycle forever. Jake Morrison returned to the Defiant with his mind spinning from everything they had learned. The ship's communication room was busy as Amy Parker worked to contact the other human colony ships scattered across space. Earth needed to know what they had discovered. Send the message on all frequencies, Jake ordered. Tell them we found something incredible, but also something terrifying. Dr. Lisa Carter was in her laboratory, studying the data crystal the ancient installation had given them. The crystal contained basic technology blueprints that would advance human science by centuries. She could barely understand the energy readings, but she knew they were looking at power sources that could run entire planets. Commander Ryan Blake was coordinating with the other installations that had awakened across the star systems. One was sending teams of engineers and scientists to learn what the ancient humans had left behind. The second installation they visited specialized in medical technology that could cure diseases and extend human life far beyond current limits. Captain, you need to see this, Lisa called from her lab. The medical technology from the second installation is incredible. They have machines that can rebuild human organs at the cellular level. They can reverse aging, cure cancer, even repair brain damage. Jake looked at the displays showing the medical equipment. How is this possible? The ancient humans understood biology in ways we never imagined. They didn't just treat diseases. They prevented them from ever starting. Look at this data about their average lifespan. The screen showed numbers that made Jake's eyes widen. The ancient humans had lived for thousands of years, remaining young and healthy throughout their extended lives. They were essentially immortal, Lisa continued. And they've left us the technology to become immortal too. Chief Science Officer Rachel Ford arrived from the third installation with even more amazing discoveries. She was carrying samples of materials that seemed to break the laws of physics. Captain, the materials science installation has given us metals that are stronger than anything we've ever seen. They're lighter than aluminum, but harder than diamond. And the manufacturing processes they use don't require mining or factories. They can create any material they need from basic elements. Jake examined the metal sample Rachel handed him. It felt warm to the touch and seemed to glow with its own inner light. How do they make this? Molecular assembly. They can arrange atoms any way they want, creating materials with exact properties for specific purposes. The possibilities are endless. Reports came in from other installations throughout the following weeks. The fourth installation contained starship designs that could travel faster than light without the dangerous jump drives current human ships used. The fifth installation had agricultural technology that could grow food on any planet, even dead. Worlds without atmospheres. But it was the sixth installation that provided the most shocking discovery. Commander Blake led the team that explored this facility, which contained the ancient humans' historical records. What they found changed everything. Captain, you need to come to the sixth installation immediately. Blake's voice came through the communication system. We've found records of the other species that once existed in the galaxy. Jake took a shuttle to the sixth installation, a massive library that contained the collected knowledge of dozens of extinct civilizations. The ancient humans had not been alone in the galaxy. They had shared space with hundreds of other intelligent species. Look at these records, Blake said, showing Jake displays of alien civilizations. The Zentari, who built cities in the clouds, of gas giant planets. The Vorthik, who lived in the deep ocean worlds. The Nexari, who evolved from insect-like creatures, but developed incredible technology. Jake studied the images of these lost species. What happened to all of them? The same thing that almost happened to us. The destructive cycles wiped them out one by one. But the ancient humans managed to save some records, some knowledge from each species before they were destroyed. Dr. Peter Grant, the mission's historian, had been working with the alien records. For days, he approached Jake with a grim expression. Captain, I've been studying the pattern of the cycles. They're not random. Something is deliberately targeting species when they reach a certain level of advancement. The cycles always begin when a species develops faster than light travel and starts spreading across multiple star systems. So expansion triggers the destruction? Jake asked. It seems that way. Every species that reaches out beyond their home world eventually attracts the attention of whatever causes the cycles. But there's something else. The ancient humans found evidence that some force is actually guiding the destruction. Jake felt a chill. What do you mean, guiding it? The destruction isn't natural. It's controlled by an intelligence. Something decides which species to destroy and which to leave alone. The ancient humans called this intelligence the harvesters. Rachel Ford joined the conversation, bringing data from the technology installations. Captain, I think I understand what the harvesters are doing. They're not just destroying civilizations. They're collecting them. Collecting them how? Every species that gets destroyed, their knowledge and technology disappears completely. But energy cannot be destroyed, only transformed. I think the harvesters are somehow capturing the essence of these civilizations and storing it. Lisa Carter's voice came through the communication system from the medical installation. Captain, I've found something in the biological records that supports Rachel's theory. The ancient humans detected strange energy patterns during the last cycle, patterns that suggested consciousness was being extracted from dying planets. Jake realized the horrifying truth. They're harvesting minds. Entire civilizations are being turned into some kind of energy collection. Blake nodded grimly. And they've been doing it for billions of years. Can you imagine how much collected knowledge and consciousness they must have accumulated? The ancient voice spoke from the installation speakers. You understand correctly. The harvesters do not simply destroy, they consume. Every advanced species becomes part of their growing collection of minds and knowledge. But why? Jake demanded. What do they want with all this collected consciousness? We never discovered their ultimate purpose, but we believe they come from outside this galaxy, possibly from outside this dimension. They treat our entire galaxy like a farm, returning periodically to harvest what has grown. Rachel looked at her data again. Captain, if that's true, then every cycle makes them stronger. They're not just destroying civilizations, they're growing, more powerful by absorbing them. Which is why this cycle must be the last, the ancient voice continued. We have spent 50,000 years preparing for your return. The installations contain not just knowledge and technology, but weapons specifically designed to fight the harvesters. Jake felt the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. Show us these weapons. The weapons are not in these installations. They are hidden in locations only the descendants of Earth can access. But first, you must prove you are ready. Your people must unite. All the human colonies, all the ships, everyone must work together. Blake checked his communication reports. The colony ships are responding well. Earth has ordered all vessels to rendezvous at the coordinates we provided, but some colonies are afraid. They want to hide instead of fight. Hiding will not work, the ancient voice warned. The harvesters will find every human settlement eventually. The only choice is to fight or to face certain absorption into their collection. Lisa returned from the medical installation with grave news. Captain, I've been analyzing the harvester energy signatures the ancients recorded. If their pattern holds, the next cycle will begin within 200 years, not 500. They're accelerating their schedule. Jake looked out at the stars, through the installation's transparent walls. Somewhere out there, an ancient enemy was preparing to harvest humanity, just as they had harvested countless species before. But this time would be different. This time, the prey had ancestors who had prepared for exactly this moment. Contact all human settlements, Jake ordered. Tell them the truth. Tell them what's coming. It's time for humanity to unite and fight. For not just our survival, but for the freedom of the entire galaxy. 3 months after the discovery of the installations, Jake Morrison stood in the command center of humanity's largest gathering in 50,000 years. Over 200 human ships had arrived at the meeting point, bringing colonists, scientists, and military personnel from across known space. The fleet represented every human settlement beyond Earth. The ancient installations had revealed their greatest secret during the 3rd month. Hidden weapon caches began materializing in space around the 17 stations. These weren't just advanced human weapons, but technology specifically designed to fight beings that existed partially outside normal space and time. Dr. Lisa Carter was amazed by what the weapons could do. Captain, these energy cannons don't just destroy matter. They can disrupt the quantum fields that allow the harvesters to exist between dimensions. It's like fighting ghosts with weapons that can make ghosts solid. Commander Ryan Blake had been working with military leaders from other ships to understand the ancient battle plans. The first Exodus didn't just run away 50,000 years ago. They fought back. These installations contain the complete records of their war against the harvesters. What did they learn? Jake asked. The harvesters are not invincible. They're powerful, but they follow patterns. They attack in waves, starting with the most advanced civilizations and working their way down. They also have a weakness. They can't harvest a civilization that fights back effectively. Rachel Ford had been studying the harvester technology captured by the ancients during their war. Captain, I think I understand why the harvesters collect consciousness. They're not from our universe originally. They need the mental energy of advanced species to maintain their existence here. You mean they're parasites? Jake asked. Exactly. Without constantly absorbing new minds and knowledge, they would fade back to whatever dimension they came from. That's why they keep returning every few million years. They need to feed. The ancient voice spoke from the command center speakers. For the first time, it didn't come from the installations. A voice was speaking directly through the quantum communication system built into Jake's flagship. Captain Morrison, it is time for the final revelation. We are no longer just voices from the past. Some of us are returning to physical form, to fight alongside our descendants. The air in the command center began to shimmer. Slowly, a human figure began to appear, translucent at first, then becoming more solid. The person who materialized looked like a normal human, but his eyes held the wisdom of 50,000 years. I am Nathan Cross, last commander of the First Exodus Fleet. I have been waiting a very long time to meet you, Captain Morrison. Jake stared at the ancient human who now stood before him. You're really here, physical enough for what we must do. The technology that allowed us to become energy beings can also restore us to matter when necessary. 12 of us have chosen to return for this final battle. Dr. Carter approached Nathan with scientific curiosity overriding her amazement. How many of you survived the transformation to energy beings? Thousands. But most chose to explore beyond this galaxy rather than wait for Earth's children to return. 12 of us remained as guardians, maintaining the installations and preparing for this moment. Nathan walked to the command center's main display and activated controls that weren't there moments before. The screen showed a 3-dimensional map of the galaxy with red areas spreading slowly across it. The harvesters have begun their approach. They're still 50 years away from this region, but their advanced scouts are already testing the defenses of nearby civilizations. We have that long to prepare for total war. Commander Blake studied the tactical display. How many ships do they have? Ships as you understand them, very few. The harvesters exist as energy constructs that can manifest physical forms when needed. But those manifestations are incredibly powerful. One harvester construct can destroy an entire planet. Amy Parker, now serving as Fleet Communications Coordinator, looked up from her station. Commander Cross, how many harvesters are we facing? Our estimates suggest several thousand constructs, supported by the absorbed consciousness of millions of destroyed civilizations. They have the combined knowledge and capabilities of every species they've harvested over billions of years. Jake felt the weight of impossible odds. How did the First Exodus expect to fight something like that? Nathan smiled, and for a moment he looked like a young human again, despite his ancient eyes. The same way Earth's children have always fought. Impossible odds. With courage, stubbornness, and by refusing to accept defeat. Nathan activated another control, and the space around the human fleet began to change. Massive structures started materializing from hidden dimensions, ships that dwarfed anything humanity had ever built. These are the weapons we prepared. 500 warships built with 50,000 years of advanced technology. Each one is capable of fighting multiple harvester constructs. Rachel Ford stared at the magnificent fleet appearing around them. Why didn't you use these ships to fight the harvesters before? We did, but 50,000 years ago, we were still learning. We knew we could hurt them, but we couldn't destroy them completely. Now we understand their true nature. This time, we can end their threat forever. Lisa had been studying readings from the ancient ships. Captain, these vessels are using biological components. They're part machine, part living organism. Correct, Nathan confirmed. The ships bond with their human crews on a genetic level. They respond to thought and emotion, as much as to physical controls. The harvesters harvest minds, so we created ships that think. Jake realized what this meant. The ships can resist being harvested because they have human consciousness integrated into their systems. Exactly. And more than that, if we can get close enough to the harvester collection points, these ships can reverse the harvesting process. We can free the consciousness of all the species they've collected over the eons. Blake looked at the tactical implications. So we're not just fighting for humanity's survival. We're fighting to liberate billions of trapped minds. The stakes have never been higher, Nathan agreed. But humanity has advantages the harvesters have never faced before. You've maintained your individual will and creativity despite achieving advanced technology. Most species become collective minds when they reach a level of development. The harvesters find collective minds easier to absorb. Amy announced that all human settlements had now joined the fleet. Captain, we have representatives from every human colony. Earth's government has placed the entire species under unified command for the duration of the crisis. Jake looked around the command center at his crew, then at Nathan Cross, then at the impossible fleet of ancient warships that surrounded them. Commander Cross, are we ready? Your people are as ready as any species has ever been. The ships will teach your crews as they fly them. The weapons will guide your targeting. But the courage to face the harvesters must come from within yourselves. Nathan walked to the center of the room and addressed everyone present. In 50 years, the harvesters will arrive expecting to find scattered, primitive humans easy to collect. Instead, they will face the combined might of two human civilizations, 50,000 years of preparation, and weapons designed specifically to destroy them. Jake stood and faced his crew. Send the message to all ships. We're going to spend the next 50 years preparing for the most important battle in galactic history. We're not just fighting for humanity anymore. We're fighting for every species that was ever harvested and every species that might exist in the future. As the great fleet began moving toward the galactic core where the harvesters would first appear, Jake realized that humanity had returned to the stars not as explorers or refugees, but as liberators. The galaxy's long nightmare was finally going to end.